So this episode of Love is Blind picks right up at the group meetup where Bri is having a conversation with Chris, and Chris is basically telling Bri that he regrets choosing Jessica over her. And instead of Bri ending this conversation with Chris out of respect for Connor and for Jessica, who she claims to be friends with, she still entertains the conversation, asking Chris why he didn't say this stuff to her in Mexico. And we know that in Mexico, she was really desperate to have a conversation with him because I think she wanted to be with him, but because he kind of pushed her away in Mexico, now she's feeling some type of way that he's waiting until now to say something. Chris is pulling out all the stops right now. He's trying to put a wedge between Connor and Bri because he ends up telling Bri that when they were all still in the pods, when they were in the men's lounge, he ended up telling Connor that he was going to choose Jessica over Bri, and that's when Connor told him that since he's choosing Jessica, he'll choose Bri over Emma. And I didn't really understand what he was trying to prove with this whole situation because, I mean, Connor still ended up choosing Bri over Emma, and even though Chris chose, Jessica over Bri, that still didn't change the fact that Connor still had two options, Bri and Emma, and he still ended up choosing Bri. So like I said before, I'm confused as to what he was trying to prove. But then Chris starts acting really weird. He starts asking Bri if she finds him attractive, and we didn't see her answer. I don't know if she actually answered it and they cut it out of the episode, but it didn't look like she gave him an answer to that. But then here's where things take a turn during this conversation between Chris and Bri, because at first it seemed like she was eating up everything that he was saying. It seemed like she really liked the attention and her being chosen over somebody else. But then when he told her that he thought that they would be fuck buddies, that's when she felt some type of way. Like, you see her facial expression change and her whole attitude change during this conversation, and she lets Chris know that if Connor wouldn't have picked her in the pods, she wouldn't have stayed in this experiment because she said that she wouldn't want to do this experiment with anybody else. But that's not the way that she was acting when they were in Mexico. It seemed like she really wanted to have a conversation with Chris and that she was open to having something with him if he would have said something in Mexico. But because he kind of pushed her away and shunned her in Mexico, that's the reason why she put her focus on Connor. And I'm not saying she's wrong for her energy changing once he said that they would be fuck buddies, because I think that's disrespectful of him to say something like that. Like, he doesn't know this woman. He doesn't even know that that's something she would be interested in doing. But I feel like he didn't even want Bri either. I feel like he didn't want Bri or Jess. He got what he wanted from Jess. He got to sleep with her. He got her attention. And then he set his sights on Bri, his other connection, which he was probably going to sleep with her too and then be done with her as well. So once he made the fuck buddy comment, you can tell that she realized that he didn't really want something with her. He just wanted to sleep with her. Once he brought up Andrew Tate during this conversation, I was like, oh, okay, they both dodged a bullet. Both Bri and Jess dodged a bullet with him because he is not somebody that any of these women should be entertaining. Then we have Kevin, and he ends up seeing Kia sitting at the table with the other women, and so he ends up going over there and he starts telling the ladies how great Kia was and that he's never met a woman like her. He was doing another one of those "you're so amazing" speeches that he was doing to her and Tyler in the pods. And I'm so glad that Kia really didn't give him any attention during this conversation, because it's like he's saying all the same things he was saying to her and Tyler in the pods, and he didn't end up choosing either one of them because he couldn't make a decision. So both Tyler and Kia made the decision for him, and I think they both made the right choice because I don't think this man is ready for a relationship, let alone a marriage. Now, this conversation between Priyanka, Alex, and Ashley was really interesting during this episode because if you paid attention, Priyanka and Alex knew each other outside of the pods because they were in the same friend group, and so she knows a lot of information about Alex that Ashley didn't know about, and we were able to see that during this conversation. Because Priyanka ends up asking Alex in front of Ashley if he was looking for a place in Austin, because the last time she checked, that's where he was trying to move to, and Ashley was taken aback by this because Austin never came up in conversation between the two of them. He told her about the other places that he was living in or that he wanted to live in, but he never mentioned that he was trying to live in Austin. He did say that he went to Austin and visited his ex-girlfriend and they slept together, but he never mentioned that they were actually living together in Austin. But Priyanka ended up exposing that during this conversation, and Ashley's confused because she's trying to put the pieces together because he's told her bits and pieces of the truth but mixed in a little bit of lies in there. And when Ashley started asking him some more questions to see if he's telling the truth, he ends up trying to change the conversation. And look, I've seen the people on social media saying that Alex is a swindler and that he goes from state to state staying on women's couches, and I didn't want to necessarily believe that was true without proof, but seeing this conversation between him, Priyanka, and Ashley, it's making me feel like there might be some truth to that. And it's like Alex can't get his lies straight because he told Ashley that he was living in Ohio for a year and a half, but then within that year and a half, he was in Austin living with his ex-girlfriend. None of it makes any sense, and he can't get the timeline straight, and so Ashley is confused, although I really don't understand how she could possibly be confused. I mean, her father asked him so many questions during that meetup, and her father saw through his lies, so I don't understand why she can't. It's giving that she can see that he's a liar, but she wants to continue going through with this process for some reason. There's a lot of red flags in Alex, and one of the red flags that he has is the way that his temper is, because when Priyanka was questioning him, he started getting really pissed off because he started saying that he felt like he was being ganged up on by her and Ashley, and that he felt like Priyanka needed to stay out of it. But if he wasn't hiding anything, he wouldn't be upset at Priyanka. He's only upset because he's being caught up in his lies. And the thing is, if he can snap at Priyanka like that, he can definitely snap at Ashley like that. So I definitely feel like that was a red flag. And it's like, what the hell does this man do for work? Because it's not soccer, it's not finance like he's been saying. So what exactly does he do? It's giving that there's something wrong with Chris, because right after he finished having this disrespectful conversation with Bri, he ends up going up to Connor and giving him a side hug, which I thought was really weird because he was just talking trash about Connor and really trying to put a wedge between him and Bri. So it was really fake that he went up to him like that. And then he goes and gives Jess an awkward hug, which I don't understand why he would think that it would be okay to hug this woman after the way that he embarrassed her on national television. The things that he was saying to her was crazy. Like, he didn't have to go into detail about how he didn't think she was attractive and how he dates women that do CrossFit. He could have just told her that he wasn't feeling it and left it at that. Instead, he purposely tried to humiliate this woman on national television. The only person that he humiliated was himself, because nobody likes him right now. And then he ends up asking Jessica if they can go away from everybody else and have a conversation, and she agrees to go with him, but you can tell that she doesn't want anything to do with this man. He started telling her that she looked good multiple times, and it's like, okay, dude, you don't have to keep telling her that she looked good, because you weren't saying that a few episodes ago when you told her that you weren't into her. This man is trying to have small talk with Jess, and she is not interested in it at all. He ends up asking her how work is going, and she's annoyed that he's trying to have this really calm, cool, and collected conversation with her after he just embarrassed her and changed things for her, because she probably told people that she was getting married and then she had to go back to work and tell people that she wasn't. So it's like, I don't understand why he would be asking her these stupid questions. And then when she tells him that she hasn't been doing good because she's been working nonstop, he told her that she could have texted him, and it's like, why the hell would she text you after you disrespected her the way that you did? Why would he think that she would want any type of communication with him at all? It seems like he wanted to bounce between her and Bri, like he wanted to sleep with Jess and then also be able to sleep with Bri. That's what I'm getting from what he's saying. I don't know if I'm right, but this is just what I'm seeing. Because how come right after he just got done flirting with Bri and telling her that they could be fuck buddies, and she got offended by it and didn't want anything to do with him, is he now going to talk to Jess again? So then he starts telling Jess that she's attractive, and he starts talking about the features on her that he thinks is attractive, and she immediately stops him, and I'm so glad she did. She told him that he does not need to go down the list of all of her features that he finds attractive, and it's like I don't understand why he even thinks it's okay to do that. It's like, you just told this woman that you weren't interested in her, you didn't find her attractive sexually, so why are you now flirting with her again, trying to get back in her good graces? It doesn't make any sense. And then he tells Jess that it feels like Jess doesn't think that she knows him, and she said that she thought she did, and it's like, no, he was being a completely different person in those pods and in Mexico, and then as soon as they got back home to Ohio, he showed his true colors. Now, at this little group hangout, Jordan is having a conversation with some of the guys, and he tells them that he's happy with Amber, but he's nervous to meet her daughter because he doesn't want her daughter to feel like, he's invading her space. And I felt like what he was saying was valid because, you're meeting this little girl, you're coming into her life, changing things for her, and so I understand why he's cautious and why he's nervous. This doesn't mean that he doesn't want to be with Amber. It just means that he's cautious because she has a daughter. And Amber ends up overhearing this conversation that Jordan is having with the guys, and she gets really upset, and she tells him that if he wants to bail, just let her know now, and she ends up walking away. And you can tell that she was really upset. You can tell that she's dealt with some really bad guys in the past, and so it's hard for her to trust Jordan as well. But I think that she completely misinterpreted what he was saying. He wasn't saying that he didn't want to meet her daughter or that he didn't want to be with her because she had a daughter. He was just saying that he was nervous to meet her daughter because he wants her daughter to like him, and he doesn't want the daughter to feel like he's invading her space. That's valid. And when they get back to their apartment at the end of the night, Amber is still really upset. She's in bed and it seems like she's crying and she doesn't really want to talk. Jordan goes in there and he's nervous because he doesn't want Amber to be upset with him, and so he tries to have a conversation with her, but Amber was just not trying to have it. And I felt really bad watching this because this was just miscommunication, and I really like this couple, so I was upset seeing them kind of have their first little argument. And they weren't the only two people having some issues, because when Ashley and Alex end up going back home, she ends up questioning him about what his relationship is now with his ex-girlfriend who he was with in Austin, and he says that they don't have a relationship now because she has a partner now, so he's not talking to her. And I feel like because of the fact that Alex has gotten caught up in multiple lies with Ashley, I feel like she doesn't know what to believe. So he could very well be telling the truth about this, but she's not going to fully believe it because he's told little lies as well. So it's like he can't get the timeline straight. I don't understand why Ashley is still putting herself through this. I would say she should have ended things when they were in Mexico, but I'll say she should have ended things after he couldn't get his story straight when he was talking to her father. Now, later that night, Bri and Connor also end up having a conversation, and she tells Connor all about the disrespectful conversation that Chris was having with her and how he was being very flirtatious with her, and she didn't take the bait and told him that she only wanted Connor and not him. I mean, she did say that to Chris, but to me, she was entertaining the conversation at first. It seems like when he said that they would be fuck buddies, that's when she got offended and she didn't want to talk to him anymore. But Bri does end up asking Connor about the comment that, Chris told her that the only reason why Connor ended up picking Bri is because he decided to pick Jess. And so she asked him about it and he said that it wasn't true. I feel like Chris was lying, and even if he was telling the truth, that doesn't make any sense, because even with Chris picking Jess over Bri, that still doesn't change the fact that Connor still had another option in Emma and he chose Bri over her. So to me, it doesn't make a difference. But Connor seems to know exactly what Chris was trying to do. He was trying to put a wedge between the two of them, and it didn't really work, although I feel like in Bri's mind, she still feels some type of way. We get to see only a little bit of Vic and Christine. We really didn't see them during the group hangout that they had, but we did get to see them picking flowers for their wedding in this episode, and it's nice to see the two of them. I just think it's crazy because none of us have really gotten to know them that much, or the dynamic of their relationship, because we've barely gotten to see them. And I mean, it could be because they don't really have any drama in their relationship, and drama makes for good TV, so that's why they're being kind of left out. But I still think it's weird the way that they're handling this, because every season of the show we have an unproblematic couple, but we still see them on camera, and we still see the fact that they have a producer and a cameraman with them, not filming things from their phone like they've been doing. Now, Britney finally ends up showing Devonte her home, and she has a really nice home. She owns it herself, and she has a lash studio in her basement, so she owns her own business, and so she seems to be doing really well for herself. Now, I do like that her and Devonte ended up having a conversation about their finances and how much they spend monthly, and she did say that she's a big spender, and he said that he saves his money, so that could be a mismatch a little bit. But I will say this, I do think it's important that they had the financial conversation, so I'm glad that they had it, but I feel like a financial conversation should have been had when they were in the pod still. And is it just me, or every time Devonte and Britney have a conversation, she seems excited to be with him, and it seems like he's still contemplating whether or not he wants to be with her? I really do think he's going to end up saying no. So Connor does end up meeting the rest of Bri's family. He ends up meeting her father, but he meets him off camera. I don't think her father wanted to be on the show, but Bri did say that her father questioned him the same way that Ashley's father was questioning Alex. So I think that's a good thing to get to the bottom of things. However, I don't think that Connor is a liar the way that Alex is, so it probably went a lot better. This is just my observation, but it seems like Jordan really does love Amber, because he seemed to be really stressed out when she was mad at him. He said that he couldn't eat, he couldn't sleep, he couldn't do anything because she wouldn't talk to him, and it made him really nervous. And Amber was understanding to him. She told him that she understands that he's nervous to meet her daughter, but she wishes that he would have told that to her instead of telling that to the guys, because she just felt like it was something that he was hiding from her, and she wants open and honest communication. I will say I like the way that Jordan and Amber communicate with each other. They don't cut each other off, they listen, and I love that. But Amber did admit to Jordan that she's dated a lot of losers in the past, and so she has a hard time trusting men, and he did say that he understands that she's had some tough relationships in the past, but he says that he doesn't want to be judged based off of what they've done to her, because he hasn't done those things to her. And I understand where he's coming from, and I do feel like she should give him a fair chance, but that doesn't mean that she's gonna let her guard down so easily. It really is sad how hard it is for women to find a good man in life. It's hard to find one, it really is. So I understand why Amber feels the way that she does. And she has a daughter that she has to set an example for and who she has to protect. So she doesn't want to just bring anybody into her life. But Jordan seems to be really understanding, and she gives him a really big hug because he told her that he couldn't eat because he was afraid that she was going to leave him. So I'm really rooting for the two of them. Out of all the couples this season, I really hope the two of them do end up getting married. Now, in this episode, the guys end up meeting up with each other for their suit fittings for the wedding, and Connor ends up telling the guys how Chris is a douchebag because he was flirting with Bri the whole time they were at that group hangout, and he told the guys how Chris was talking bad about him to Bri, and he didn't like it because he thought that him and Chris were cool with each other, but now he knows that Chris was just trying to put a wedge between him and Bri. And I'm glad that Connor understands what Chris was trying to do, because Chris was being messy. That's not somebody that he should be around, because why would he go up to Connor and try to shake his hand after he was just talking bad about him? Now, while the guys are doing their suit fittings, the women are going dress shopping, and Britney tells everybody that she already has her wedding dress picked out. She already bought one a long time ago because she knew that she wanted to get married. Some people find that cute, and it could be, but I think it's a little bit weird and desperate. I mean, I understand she wants to be married, but already buying a wedding dress already when you haven't found a man yet is a little bit weird. But Britney's dress is actually really pretty, and I can understand why she wanted to buy it early, because she probably saw it and was like, if I don't buy this dress now, I'm not going to be able to get this dress if I do end up getting married. The thing is that she seems to be really excited to get married, but Devonte does not seem excited at all. Now, Christine was trying on dresses, and she was really picky about which dress she wanted, but I think that when it's your wedding day, you can be as picky as you want to be, because you want to find the right dress. You're going to take pictures, and if you stay married forever, this is something that's going to matter to you, so you should find the perfect dress for you. So I think she did a good job with trying to pick out the right dress for her, not just settling for whatever dress that people told her that she looked good in. Because I feel like that's what happened with Bri at this dress fitting, because when Bri put on the first dress, she said that she didn't know if it was the right dress for her, but because of her family saying that this is the perfect dress for her, it looks great on her and it's so her style, she just decided to go with it. And for me, that showed me that she's not really serious about getting married to Connor, because if she really wanted to get married to him and she thought this was going to be her actual wedding day, I think she would have taken more time to find the right dress. Emma's dress was really pretty and girly, and I think that it fit her really well. She seemed to be excited to get married. I don't feel like she should be getting married, because I feel like she has a lot of things that she needs to work through and work on, and because of her and Mike's issues about the whole kids thing, I don't feel like it's the right choice, but she seemed really happy when she put that dress on. Ashley's dress was my favorite because I feel like it was simple and elegant, and I love a simple, elegant dress. Like, I felt like the dress looked great on her, so her dress was definitely my favorite. Amber's dress was really pretty and sparkly and shiny, and she got emotional when she put the dress on, and her family seemed to be really happy for her. It seems like they know that she's had a tough time in relationships in the past, but now she's found Jordan and she seems to be happy. So her family gave her a lot of support when she put that dress on, and I definitely felt happy for her. All the couples end up going on their final dates before the wedding, and Connor and Bri end up having their final date. They end up going to dinner with each other, and you can tell that Connor is in love with Bri. You can tell that he really, really wants to marry her. He seems to be all in. Like, to me, there's no question whether or not he's going to say yes or no at the altar, but with Bri, it's giving that she doesn't really know what she wants, because she said a lot of good things about Connor, and that he's taught her what love really feels like, because she's never experienced a guy loving her the way that Connor does, but it almost feels like she doesn't believe that she deserves that type of love. Like, that's what it sounds like when she's having this conversation with Connor. And honestly, that really is sad if she felt like she wasn't lovable enough. Maybe she was in a relationship in the past where somebody told her that she was too much or not enough, and Connor has made her feel completely different, but it seems like she doesn't know how to hold the love that he's giving her. So to me, it doesn't seem like she's all in with him. And it does make me feel bad for Connor, because you can tell that he's really excited and he's happy with her, and he feels like he's been doing all the right things, but still it doesn't seem like she's all in. Emma and Mike end up going on a final date to the zoo. I thought that was an interesting date choice. I mean, I like going to the zoo, but I don't want to eat dinner at the zoo because of the smell, but they seem to be having a good time with each other. And she did mention them going on vacations as a family, and when he heard the word family, it made him think that she has been thinking about whether or not she wants to have children, and she was honest with him and told him that she has been thinking about it. And here's my thing with Mike. I don't feel like he's done anything wrong that we've seen throughout this process. However, having children seems to be a huge deal to him, and so I don't understand why he proposed to her in those pods when she told him inside the pods that she didn't know if she wanted to be a mother, because I feel like this kids thing keeps coming up every episode. Britney and Devonte's final date was in the hot tub, and look, I feel like Britney is all in on Devonte. She wants to marry him. This is something that she's been wanting, hence the reason why she ended up buying a wedding dress before she even had an engagement. But every time I see Devonte, it seems like in his mind, he's questioning whether or not he wants to be there with her or not. Like, I will say he did make some progress since Mexico, and he's not the worst guy of this season. Chris is, and I was actually surprised about that because I honestly thought Dante was going to be the absolute worst based on the first few episodes of this season, but that wasn't the case. However, we can still tell that Devonte is not all in on Britney. What I will say is that him making jokes about her snoring and saying that she sounds like Godzilla probably is not the right thing to do. I know he was joking around, but for somebody like Britney, who has already been complaining that he hasn't been giving her any compliments, I don't think the right thing to do was to make fun of her snoring. Now, Devonte ended up telling Britney during this conversation that he's been really nervous because the wedding day is quickly approaching and that he's probably going to take a full day where he's going to be completely unreachable to her. And she seemed to be okay with that because she knows he's a man of little words. But she did ask him during this conversation if he's going to say yes at the altar, and he said that he's 98% sure that he'll say yes. And she made it very clear to Devonte that her worst fear is to go down to the altar and be told no. And so I feel like because she said that to him, if he's not 100%, he needs to end things before the wedding day. Devonte ends up bringing up a prenup, and honestly, I'm somebody who's all for a prenup to protect both people, so I don't think there's anything wrong with him bringing up this topic. However, I feel like this is a conversation they should have had when they were in the pods or when they went to Mexico. I don't feel like this is a conversation they should be having days before the wedding day. Britney did not seem to be happy about him saying that he wanted a prenup because she feels like that's him saying that this relationship is not going to last and that he doesn't trust her. I don't feel like that's the way that he meant it. I feel like it's important to have that protection in place because he is right. You never really know somebody until you're at a breakup and they start showing you their true colors. Not everybody acts out during a breakup or a divorce, but some people do. I just feel like this is a conversation that they should have had sooner. Amber and Jordan end up having my favorite final date because they had a really playful date. They were actually doing activities and having a good time with each other. I loved that for them. So they definitely had my favorite date. And then Ashley and Alex end up having a cabin date where they're sitting by the fire. It's a nice, cozy little setup. I think it was cute, and Ashley seemed to really like it. However, their conversation to me shows that they're not compatible. I mean, she was talking about how she wanted to know where exactly they were going to be living for a while. She said that she wanted a home base because she's a planner. She's somebody that needs stability, and Alex is the complete opposite. So I don't understand how they even made it out of the pods. And every single time Ashley has a conversation with Alex, he just talks in circles. I don't understand how she can still be dealing with this at this point. And lastly, Christine and Vic end up having a spa date, and we know that they really are into each other. We haven't seen any drama with the two of them. They seem to be completely on the same page, although we wouldn't really know what they've been going through because we haven't seen much of them this season. Now, after Bri and Connor have met each other's families and they had their final date, Bri ends up having a conversation with Connor, and she basically tells him that he's not getting the best version of her. She says that he's getting the worst version of her, but he tells her that he loves her anyway, like he's falling in love with her even though she's saying that this is the worst parts of her. And I mean, he's right. I mean, if this is the worst version of her and he still loves her and still wants to be with her, then what's the problem? But she said that it affected her because her family pointed out that he's not getting the best of her. I don't know if she's just scared because she's never been with a guy who loved her and showed her the love and respect the way that Connor does, and that's what's scaring her, or if she really just doesn't want to be with him. She's kind of mean to him though, because it seems like she was putting him down at first during this conversation. Like, she was talking about how it didn't seem like he had his shit together. Like, yeah, he owns a house and yeah, he has a career, but it doesn't seem like he has the drive to be better. Then she starts saying that she doesn't think that he has the ability or the capacity to be the leader of the family, and how when they go out to dinner, he doesn't order for her. And it's like, why would you want a man to order for you at dinner? I would never want a man to order for me. You don't know what I want to eat. Like, ask me what I want. Don't just order my food for me. So I thought this conversation was weird. And then she started saying that she needs an alpha male and she doesn't feel like Connor might be exactly what she needs. But when she had a conversation with her father about it, he said that she's probably been looking for all the wrong things, and maybe a guy like Connor is what she needs. She tells Connor that if they were to walk down the aisle today, that she would have said no. And he tells her that he would say yes without a question. It's like she wasn't necessarily telling him that she wanted to completely end things with him, but she's saying that she wants to slow down and that she's not ready to get married. I don't feel like this was the process for her either. And I really felt bad for Connor because he did get emotional in this episode, and he did say that he really is in love with Bri, but he deserves somebody that wants him just as much as he wants them, and he deserves somebody who's not using him as a lesson, because she seemed like she was trying to say that he was a lesson for her that she needed to learn. And I didn't didn't think that was right. I feel like she's kind of wasted his time a little bit. But I will say this, I do respect the fact that she decided not to walk down that aisle and embarrass him at the altar, because I hate when people do that on this show. I know it makes for good entertainment, but I hate when people know they're going to say no and then they have this person bring their family out and they walk down the aisle and then they're told no at the end. That's embarrassing. Now, it's Mike and Emma's wedding day, and honestly, I'm surprised that they even made it this far, because I thought that once his family met her and they didn't really approve of it, that he was going to end things with her, but that did not end up happening. Emma and Mike both seemed to be excited on their wedding day, which I was kind of surprised about. And look, Emma said that her family really likes Mike and they actually want the two of them to get married, but we have to worry about Mike's family, not necessarily Emma's. And Mike's mom and sister do end up going to meet with Emma and giving her some support on her wedding day, but you can tell that they're still a little bit skeptical. It seems like his mom is not really sure if she wants, Emma to be the person that her son marries. But I will say Mike's mom was a lot warmer to Emma than she was the first time she met her. Mike's mom and dad do end up having a conversation with him before the ceremony starts, and you can tell that his parents are nervous that he's not making the right decision when it comes to marrying Emma. I do think that it's good that they're still supporting their son, and they made sure that he knew that they're right behind him whatever decision that he decides to make, but you can tell that they're a little bit skeptical. And look, anybody would be skeptical about their child going through this process, because why would you want your child to marry somebody who they barely know? So I understand their nervousness, but I just feel like they could be a little bit harsh. Now, Mike and Emma do end up saying their vows to each other, and in Mike's vows, he does mention the fact that Emma was saying that she didn't know if she wanted to have children, and he doesn't think that it's fair for her to have to make that decision right now. So to me, it was giving that he was going to say no. But Emma is the one that had to say I do first, and so she was kind of rambling on a little bit, and at first everybody thought that she was going to say no because she said the word I can't twice, and so people were thinking she was going to say no to him at the altar, but then she ended up saying yes, and I just felt like she should have just said I do, or she should have just said a flat out yes. I don't feel like all the extra stuff is necessary, but now it's his turn to answer and everybody's kind of nervous about what he's gonna say. I'm guessing that he's gonna say no because of the kids thing, but then again, he might say yes because she said yes, but we don't know because the episode cut right when it was his turn to answer. So those are my thoughts on these 2 episodes of Love is Blind. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.